So good evening everyone. So my name is Iburane, and I'm going to tackle about the moral dilemma, the types of dilemma, the false dilemma, and its level. So let's start. So what do you think, what is moral dilemma? Do you have any familiar? If not, so let's discuss. When we say moral dilemma, it refers to a situation in which a person is faced with two or more conflicting moral choices, each of which has significant consequences. So, do you remember a time when when you are in a difficult situation and had to make a difficult choice or decision, and each option was equally unpleasant? Perhaps you lied and something terrible happened, or you were faced with the difficult situation when you need to choose between the option A and the option B, and you were faced with the task of divulging the truth and being punished for lying. This means is called a dilemma. When we say a moral dilemma, the person or a people would face a situation where where they are facing a difficult situation, and they are facing a two conflicting option or choices. But in every choices that they made, there are a consequences that they need to face. So in order that they need to think twice before deciding on what option that they need to choose. So just like in the example, a moral dilemma presents a difficult decision-making scenario where there is no obvious or easy solution that align perfectly with one's ethical principle. Moral dilemma often involve conflicting values, obligation, or duties, forcing individual to weigh the potential harm or benefit associated with each option. So just like in example, prioritizing elder care. Imagine working individuals struggling to balance work responsibilities with elder care. On one hand, they want to provide a care for their elderly parent, but on the other hand, they fear losing their job. This could be classified as an obligation dilemma, as the individual is torn between two significant responsibilities. So as you can see in the scenario, the first option is they want to provide, he or she want to provide elderly care for elderly parent. But on the other option, they fear losing their job. So in that scenario, there are two conflicting options or choices that they need to choose between those two. But in every action that they need, there is a consequences that they need to face. So that is a moral dilemma. So another example is academic dishonesty. So the scenario is a student discovers their friend plagiarizing an entire assignment. On one hand, they feel they should report the violation, but they also fear losing their friend. So the first option is if they report to their teacher that her or his friend is plagiarizing the entire assignment, their friend will face a will face a different violation. And the other hand, if they do that, they also fear they might be a possible that they lose their friends. So in every action or in every decision that they make, there is a consequences. So we have types of moral dilemma. So we have the epistemic versus ontological dilemma. So when we say epistemic dilemma, this dilemma arises from uncertainty about the facts of the situation. For example, a doctor might face an epistemic dilemma if they are unsure whether a patient is capable of consenting to a medical procedure. In this case, the doctor must weigh the potential benefit and risk of the procedure without full knowledge of the patient wishes. So in the epistemic dilemma, it's more applicable in the field of the medicine or something like the field of it also applicable in different field. But as we can see in the situation, the doctor is unsure whether the patient is capable of consenting to a medical procedure, but he also think what is the benefit or the risk if they do the procedure. So it has a two conflicting option in the scenario. We have also the ontological dilemmas. These dilemmas arise from conflict moral principle themselves. For example, a soldier might face an ontological dilemma if they are ordered to follow a command that they believe is unjust. In this case, the soldier must choose between loyalty to their superiors and their own moral conscience. So as you can see in the situation, it has two conflicting options that the soldiers is facing right now. First is, if they choose that command, the soldier must choose between loyalty to their superior. If they choose all the command, if they follow all the command, so it shows the loyalty to their superiors. But it's also think that there is connecting with their with their moral conscience. So in that scenario, there are also two conflicting action that they need to think before making a choice. We have also a self-imposed dilemma. This dilemma are created by the individual own choice or action. For example, a student might face a self-imposed dilemma if they cheat on an exam. In this case, the student must decide whether or not to break the rules, knowing that they could face consequences if they are caught. So as we can, in short, the self-imposed dilemma, it is the person or the individual choice or action the decision that they make by themselves also, by themselves. For example, in the scenario, as you can see in the scenario, if the student cheat in the exam, the student will break the rules, and they could face the consequences. Though there are also two conflicting option or choices. If they are two conflicting choices and they choose different choices, they will face consequences. When we say word imposed dilemma, when we say the self-imposed and word imposed, the word imposed dilemma, it always has a forces on making the decision or option or choices, such as social or norms or law. So it involves other people on making the choices. So just like in the example, a refugee might face a world-imposed dilemma if they are forced to choose between staying in their war-torn country or risking their life to flee. In this case, the refugee must weigh the risk and benefit of each option, knowing that never choice is ideal. So we have also obligation dilemmas versus prohibition dilemmas. When we say obligation dilemmas, these dilemmas arise when an individual feels obligated to act in two or more conflicting ways. For example, a parent might face an obligation dilemma if they are torn between caring for their aging parents and working to support their family. In this case, the parent must decide which obligation takes priority. So as you can see in the scenario, we have two conflicting options. First is they are torn between caring for the aging parent, and the second option is working to support their family. So as you can see, if they choose first option, they might face a consequences, and if they choose a different option, they will face also the consequences. That is the obligation dilemma. It shows, or it focuses more on the obligation of the people or the person in their family, in their life, and in the other in the life of their parents. When we say prohibition dilemmas, these dilemmas arise when an individual is faced with two or more morally unacceptable option. For example, a police officer might face a prohibition dilemma if they are forced to choose between shooting an alarmed suspect or allowing the suspect to escape in this case. So as you can see, the first option or conflicting option is they choose to shoot the unarmed suspect. And the second option is allowing suspect to escape in this case. As you can see, the situation is very complicated, and it has two conflicting option that the police officer need to face, or that need to choose between those option, and they will face consequences. We have also a single-agent dilemmas and multi-agent dilemmas. When we say single-agent dilemmas, these dilemmas involve single individual who must make a difficult moral decision. For example, a whistleblower might face a single-agent dilemma if they must decide whether or not to expose corruption within their organization. In this case, the whistleblower must weigh the potential benefit and risk of their action before making decision. A single agent dilemma, it is a more difficult moral decision. As you can see in the example, if they choose that option, they will face difficult consequences. We have also a multi-agent dilemma. These dilemmas involve two or more individuals who must work together to resolve a moral conflict. For example, a group of friends might face a multi-agent dilemma if they're forced to choose between saving one pea. So as you can see, the multi-agent dilemma is more like it's more like involving two or more individuals who work together to resolve the moral conflict, or to choose between different options. So let's tackle also the false dilemma. When we say false dilemma, also known as a false dichotomy or false binary, is a logically fallacious argument that presents only two options if they are the only possible, when in the reality other option might escape. So false dilemma. That is the false dilemma. When we say a false dilemma, it's more like as you can see in the example, in the false dilemma, they always focus on two options without minding, or without thinking that without thinking the other option. For example, they will focus in the option A and top option B without thinking if they are, or if the option C exists. So the option, as you can see in the scenario, in the example, the option is continue your degree in psychology, drop out of this option B is drop out of university. But they are also option C, when the option says start a degree in something you do enjoy next year. So in false dilemma, they always focus on the two options without minding or thinking that they have without thinking the other option, without thinking two option but in the reality they are different options that exist. So that is the false dilemma. We have also level of false dilemma. We have a disjunction with contraries. This form of false dilemma presents two options as they are the only possibilities when in fact there could be many other alternatives. When we say also logical forms, false dilemma can take the forms of treating two contraries which may both be false as contradictors or which one is necessarily true. And we have also the deductive and divisible arguments. The false dilemma fallacies can be found in various forms, including deductive and divisible arguments where either or a situation are unfairly presented, ignoring other possible alternative or explanation. This level of dilemma has always focused in two options, but in reality they have different option that is existed. So they always think just like in this junction with contraries. They have always focused on the two option without minding other one. So that is the are my topics. That is all my topics. It's all about the moral dilemmas, conflicting dilemmas, and moral dilemma, false dilemma, levels of dilemmas. So there are just few of different moral dilemmas in sport. It is also important to note that these categories are not mutually exclusive, and many moral dilemmas will into multiple categories. Understanding the different types of moral dilemmas can help individuals be better navigate this challenging situation. And always think and always put in our mind that in every situation that we'll face, we have different option or choices that we also face. And if we choose a one choices or option, there are consequences that we also need to face. So we should think first before deciding on a situation or before choosing an option. And that's all. Thank you.